Welcome back to the Off the Tools podcast with your hosts, Joshua Grudenboer and Jimmy Hong. Today, we're going to be diving into a little bit about just maintaining professionalism in your business and what that kind of means, as it can be just like kind of a super open-ended concept and topic. So there's obviously so many different ways to go about this, but what do you think are the first things that at least maybe come to mind when we're talking about even just professionalism in your contracting business?
When I think of professionalism, I think it's how you show up. I think that's like such a big part of the business. How you dress, how you talk, how you set expectations, how you're taking care of yourself also leads. So I think especially when you go talk to a client for the first time, are you in a polo? Are you in a decent pair of pants? Showing up actually professional, right? As well as, are you educated enough to give them advice around their what they want to get done, answering their questions, and really being able to do that. I think that is one of the big things. Image plays a lot in this.
A lot of people have a lot of different strategies when it comes to let's even talk about the estimate, for instance. A lot of people like the strategy of showing up looking like a contractor. I just got off the job site. I started that way, and I transitioned to the I'm going to wear a dress shirt, I'm going to wear a belt, I'm going to wear a nice pair of shoes, and I never turned back from it. Because although there's a certain image and vibe that you give off when you have some primer or some drywall on your shirt, but in the end of the day, it's what do I want to make them feel? I want them to feel just taken care of by a highly professional and buttoned up individual. And when I think about what those two types of people provide, the guy with primer and drywall plaster all over his shirt and the guy that came in with the dress shirts, this guy has so much stuff together that he didn't just get off the job site. Even though he's playing the part, he had enough time to forethink in terms of what he wanted to show up as for his company.
That's so funny you mentioned that, because I did the same thing when I first started. I think it's in the stage of your business, right? If you're a one-man show and you're still painting, it's quicker, easier for you to be in your paint gear. But it's what does that represent, right? It's you're getting down and dirty, which means you're working on other jobs, and versus when you're all nice and cleaned up, polo, nice pair of pants, and you go in and
yeah, no, for sure, you give off more value. And even when we're talking about professionalism, obviously what you wear is an extremely important factor in terms of how you're showing up for your potential clients. But on top of that, it's everything else. So it's how are you proposing your estimates? Is everything actually written down or typed out, or are you, please don't tell me, just telling them a number to their face?
Or it's on a napkin.
Yeah, literally back of napkin math, right? So for instance, something that I would do and I'd highly recommend for anybody thinking about is go get an iPad, put together a client manual, before and afters, testimonials, types of works that you've done, create a little presentation. And then now you can kind of flip through your quote unquote client manual on this iPad with them. But then also when it comes to showing them the quote, you can use whatever software or whatever to walk them through the quote, and it's all right there. Now, if you need to upload any of those quotes or anything anywhere, they're all right there on a device. If it's on paper, you just have one copy of that and you can lose it. But if you do it in the cloud per se, A, that's extremely professional. B, the client can always find it because it's going to have it in their email, but you'd also have sat down with them and gone over it. And I mean, what else is there really even to do from there?
Yeah, 100%, man. Great point. I guess also for you too, if you think of the client's perception, right? And you're coming in dressed nicely, your estimate is booked out or built out really nice. How do you think that builds trust so you can charge the prices you want to charge for your services?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's favorite thing to say is, I don't judge. Such a bold-faced lie. We all do it at the subconscious level where whether you consciously believe it or not, and everyone's making judgments about themselves, other people, every moment realistically of the day. So whether they're like consciously saying in their head, this guy seems kind of sloppy, or wow, I'm really impressed with this guy, that's happening whether you like it or not. So if you're showing up, you got a button shirt, maybe a nice little quarter zip as I have on today, maybe, you know, some nice shoes, you got a nice maybe iPad, and you're showing them the estimate, you're showing them some testimonials, trying to, you know, build some credibility there. It's like their trust is just going up and up. And all it takes is one client that's been burned by one contractor for them to never pick the cheap option again. And if any of you are listening to this, how many estimates have you gone to where they're now wary on hiring anybody because of one experience that they've had? So now it truly doesn't matter necessarily what you cost, because they're just trying to avoid the pain that was the previous experience. And if you're just showing that little bit of professionalism, they're going to pay you what you ask.
100%. Great point. Because at the end of the day, it's like the contractor covered in paint, just like still dirty from the job site that had to rush over, versus somebody that's dressed professionally to a client, mitigating their risk of, you know, not having a good job done, right? When you see someone that's dressed up, and in their mind, again, they're going to be judging on all these different things. Wow, this guy's put together. He's dressed nice. He has a great system in place. Oh, my estimate looks awesome. They might not tell you that, but deep down, they're like, yeah, like I'm willing to pay because I got some testimonials here, right? Builds that trust. It's like, okay, I'm paying a little bit more, but I have a better chance of getting a better job because, like, you know, the last 100 people had an awesome review, left an awesome review, or had an awesome journey with this other guy, versus like, you know, hey, here it is on a piece of paper that was kind of scribbled there. And it's like, I don't know, where's your testimonials? He's like, oh, people tell me that I do a great job. How can I trust that? So I think it mitigates the risk for the client as well, too, deep down.
Mm-hmm. And like, even when like you're talking about testimonials or whatever, we did a project for a police officer. Best believe I'm getting a testimonial from that guy. We also did a project for a law firm. Best believe I got a testimonial from there, because it's like when I go through the end of my client manual and my testimonials are there, and I go, yep, this is blank. I works with the police services here. You know, this is blank. They're a law office just kind of south of where we are here. It's like, okay, this guy's obviously trustworthy if he's literally working with the law. So you can think about, who do I want to represent my company to?
That's so true, man. I'm thinking back, even just, there's been times, because like in our client manuals, I'm sure yours was the same way, Josh, a good chunk of it was just all reviews. And they'd flip through. There's so many times where like, oh, you know Roger? Like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's like, yeah. And then trust just goes through the roof. Or, and I love what you said about just working for like an office or an officer, because it just builds more credibility. Even I worked for a church and got to do their auditorium, right? So we painted it, got it nice and done up. And you best believe that was one of my first reviews in my book, because people know that church, right? A lot of people go to that church. It's one of the biggest ones in that area. So it'd be like, hey, like, I mean, they trusted Jimmy to paint a church. You could probably trust him to also take care of our home as well, too, right? Mm-hmm. So it was really cool to see.
There's a bunch of other things, obviously, that like we can be doing as well. So it's like we were talking about like that estimate side of things on like professionalism. And if you are trying to pick a place where you're trying to start in terms of professionalism, that's a fantastic place to start. Yeah. But, you know, on top of that, when we sit down with clients and we start talking about like advertising and stuff like that, be conscious of what you're putting out there on the internet. Let's start there too, because, you know, if you're the worst one that I've seen, and admittedly, there's a mistake that I made, maybe like year 1 or even 2 into my business. We put things online where like our ladder placements, when we're doing like exterior projects, we know we're safe, but maybe in the eyes of everybody else, they don't think we're being the best. And well, great. Don't post that. So it's like, what are you putting out there that's part of your professionalism as well. And this goes for your organics. What do you post on your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your TikTok, whatever. But this also goes for your paid traffic. If you're posting ads online, God forbid, just boosting posts, and you hadn't taken a shower that day or whatever, you're not dressed to the nines. Well, it's like, again, you're missing out on so much good attention that you otherwise could have gotten if you just put a little bit more thought into like what sort of image am I putting out there. So it's not just about the estimate, it's also about like your online brand persona as well.
That's so true, man. Even small things. If you took a picture, it could be the camera angle, it could be anything, but from the person actually who's looking at the picture or video, I think a good way to really get yourself into it is like, hey, if I was a homeowner and I was in their shoes looking at this picture or looking at this video, would I have concerns? Would I be pumped? And I think it's just an easy way to tap into it. And it's like, oh, that ladder kind of looks weird from this angle. I'm not going to use that because homeowner doesn't know like the safety ratios for putting up a ladder, things like that. And forget about the camera angle. That's going to make it look worse, right? Or even like something as small as like you're working on a job. It's currently being done and it's a little bit dirty, a little bit messy because you got to take out the old bathroom and stuff. But it's like, if you take a picture from that, some people might judge like, wow, his job site's such a mess, even though you cleaned it spick and span at the very end. But things like that, right? I think it really matters.
Now we're kind of talking about aesthetic appearances here, but what sort of comes to mind? And this is such an individual battle per se, but what comes to mind for you when we're talking about professionalism within the company, how you treat your employees? What sort of like mindset do you undergo? Because it's different for everybody.
Yeah, like in terms of like treating your employees, always going to be from respect, and then always from a place of how can I help them, right? So we always figured out like what their goals are. What are they saving up for? What do they want to learn? And especially when they want to learn something or they have something they're building to, they're pumped, right? It's like, what would they be talking about when I'm not there, right? If you're that boss that's just yelling at them all the time, not even trying to figure out what's going on or anything like that, it's like probably not going to go well when you're not around, right? So I would say just being able to take care of them and also obviously go through like what they want out of this, because I think it'll reflect on how you are as a leader in the business, which will also reflect to your clients when your workers are there by themselves.
What sort of like lines though do you draw when it comes to with your employees? Because they are friendships of sorts, but I am your boss.
Yeah, when it's like drawing a line, I think it's kind of like with that dad energy, right? So we celebrate the highs, right? Awesome stuff is awesome. You celebrate those. When things go wrong, it's like, hey, we still got to go have a conversation about this. Right? We're not sweeping it under the rug. We're not doing that, like, and we're not just like yelling at them in front of everybody. No. We're gonna take that strong oak energy, kind of like a dad energy. If it's something that didn't work out or something, we pull one person aside, not everybody, right? And then we go through like, hey, what do you think the impacts are? How can we do this next time? How does this affect the client? All these things. And if you did a really good job in setting expectations before you hire them, you always have this document of expectations that they also signed off on, they built as well. And you can always reference it and be like, hey, like this is the expectations we talked about. Scale of 0 to 10, how well are we following this? Right? 0 being like, I don't even look at it. I'm not following it. You should just get rid of me. 10 being I follow it to the T. Right? And it's like, they say maybe 8. Cool. What are we missing to get to a 10? Oh, maybe I could do this better, do that. It's like always making sure they can also improve on themselves so that they can become the leaders that you believe they can be because you hire good people into your business.
Yeah. I think the dad energy is good. I also believe in that there's like different parts of you that can come out at different times. For instance, in minutes 1 to 5, we are friends. And I just joked to you about this dumb thing we both saw this weekend. But in minutes 5 to 10, I'm telling, okay, we need to come up with a game plan in terms of how we're going to tackle this project this morning here. So what sort of plan of attack do you think you could come up with? And I think people tend, like when it comes to leadership, put these things in boxes like, I am your friend, I'm not your friend. We can have relationships outside of work. We can't have relationships outside of work. This is just not a binary system that we work with when it comes to leadership. And there's nuance to it all. And it always calls for individual solutions to individual relationships. And I think if, as long as your employees know who's number one in the end of the day, that is really all that matters. Because we just, both you and I and the employer, we just need to be able to turn off and on these switches as we please. And you need to not be surprised when I bring out this side of me, and you need to be not surprised when I bring out that side of you, because I'm trying to bring out the best of you where you feel comfortable enough that you can actually talk to me about things that you need to talk to me about. And I need you to listen to what the hell I say when I ask you to do something, and not have to say it twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, greatly said. Like 100%, right? If you don't, or you sweep it under the rug, it's just, you're letting your employees just walk all over you, right? And it's just, okay, well then now how are you supposed to make sure things are done properly? It's going to really bite you in the ass, like at the end, or even way down the road, because now the expectations aren't being followed. You didn't say anything, so you're basically permitting what's going on. They're allowed to, like, not listen to the boss. They're allowed to do this because you let it go the first time. Right?
You permit where you promote, for sure. Let's say you're in the job, Jimmy. You ask one of your employees to do something. You get met with maybe a little underhanded jab or some attitude. How do you handle?
Depends on what it is. Like, give me a jab here.
Okay. Either like, why don't you do it? Or they hit you with or even just like you come up with the plan and you say, how are we going to tackle this? Or you say, Jake, you go to do the windows. Sally, you go to do the siding. And Jake says, nah, I'm going to do the siding. Yeah, it's all good. I got you. And it's like, but I just told you to do the windows. How do you go about it?
Yeah, I think it would just start off as like, hey, I mean, maybe you can do the siding, maybe you can't. I think just trying to dig into it as to why they want to do it, and asking them, right? The whole point isn't like, hey, I told you this, you got to go do it. If you want to do the siding, not the windows, like, why did that come up, right? And who knows what it is, right? It's like, okay, you're delegating that to somebody else, and you want to understand first the reason why, right? So whether it's, I want to do the siding because it's like a little shorter, right? I'm not feeling comfortable around like ladders and stuff. That's why I said, oh, okay, well then that totally makes sense. You need more ladder training. Would you feel more comfortable doing it if you had more ladder training and had it more secure and everything? And they're like, yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Let's get you more ladder training, right? Like digging into it, and it's like, hey, I want you to be able to do this, to be able to take care of it. But if you don't feel like 100% with it, then it's like, let's figure out what we need to do in place to do it, and go from there.
No, for sure. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can obviously handle it, but definitely understanding why is the best way to tackle it, because if you're not understanding why they're saying it, then you can't get to the root cause and tackle it at all, for sure. Back on like the professionalism aspect of the business that we're kind of exploring during this episode here. We talked about the estimate side of things. Now we've talked about how you maintain good image online. Now we're kind of talking about that line in the sand when it comes to your employees and stuff like that. But, there's truly no limit to where you can take this here, guys. Like, you can always be obviously requiring some sort of uniform as well. That's always really good. Uniforms are interesting because they also provide a sense of unity to everybody on the team. Nobody's wearing anything different than the other person. There's actual science to back this stuff up, for sure, but it also depends kind of like what trade you're in as well, right? So it's like, if you're, for instance, some people that use subs do require that they wear the owner's shirts while they're on the job. This is a real thing, right? And that can totally be something that you want to implement, because at the end of the day, you're also advertising. I'm sure we've both had it where, like, you'll have the shirts on the back of the guys, and then someone will call because it'll be like, I saw it on the back of the shirts when you guys run the job site if you're doing like an exterior job or whatever. So it's advertising on top of that all. But even further, I mean, it's like, yeah, some people go like wrap the trucks. That's always a good one too, because it's a portable billboard, realistically. Anything else you can think of? I'm just trying to think of like all the aspects that people can use.
I think when it comes down to uniforms, I think that's such a key one. Because like you said, right, the advertising for us, we had white shirts because we work outside a lot on exteriors, and having like even your brand, your phone number, everything, your name on the back, so that when your crew is working, people can actually see it. Not only is it uniformed, but also just that professionalism again. Think of the best corporations out there, or best businesses like McDonald's, and they all have uniforms for a reason, right? And it'll help with your marketing as well. How many times has people stopped by to your painters and was like, oh, hey, you guys are painters, like what? And then, oh, you're with this company here. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm looking for a quote, right? And it's like they can see, or they come by, they take a picture of your lawn sign or the phone number, and you're able to actually just keep on growing the business without even having to lifting a bigger finger. You're just all connected.
Hats too. I still have some hats left over from Universal Painting. I just recently moved, and I brought them to the new place.
Oh yeah,
I love those things. I'm never going to get rid of them. But I'd say that's basically it. In the end of the day, it's like you want to represent your brand to the highest level possible, and you don't need to implement all of these things all at once either. One step closer to being the best form and outside appearance as possible a day is, everything you need to be doing. And obviously we introduced 500 different ways to, increase these professionalisms. There's even more from there. You can rent a billboard. You can get on the radio. You can send out flyers. You can get door hangers. You can knock on doors. Like there's so many ways to do this, and you don't need to do them all, but the ones you do, you need to do well. And that's kind of thing, because when it comes to professionalism, half-assing it isn't going to help anybody.
They'll see right through it. Clients will see right through it, see that you're missing a lot of stuff. And yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think just to end it off here too, like we talked about a bunch of different things. What about job site professionalism? When you think of like a job site, being professional on there with your guys, what do you think that looks like for you, Josh?
The big one and the obvious one that comes to mind is I've had to address play appropriate music out loud if you're going to be playing music. That's the classic, right?
Yeah.
And today, like that's a big banner of like who you are. You're literally bumping tunes, and so try and make that as appropriate as possible. But just job site in general, what are you representing in your company? Is your job site clean? Is your job site tidy? Do you have a actual camp that you can set up as? And even as well, not swearing across the house. Hey Jimmy, can you grab me the brush at the bottom of the stairs? No, thank you. Right? These are, you're at work. You need to be acting like you're at work. As the business owner, it's your prerogative on whether or not you want to cross that line with the client and throw in a swear word or whatever here and there, and that should be an emotionally intelligent decision that should be done with intention. But that being said, as long as you're tidy, your workers are minding their P's and Q's, they know what they're playing out loud or saying out loud, that's it. And professionalism also comes in the form of communication, in the regard that if the client doesn't know what you're doing every day at the beginning of the day, you're doing something wrong, and that's a lack of professionalism in and of itself. So there needs to be a strong line of communication that is open the whole time you're on the job site. But I think that's all the time we have today, as always.
Yeah. I think you got real quick, Josh. I wanted to share this to make it absolutely real, because it's one of my favorite stories from a contractor friend I was talking to. When it comes to swearing or songs, he was running his contracting business, and he had some guys that were on ladders, and they swore, they said the F word, and I guess one of the windows was open, and the kid heard it, and the kid started saying it, and the clients were so upset. They crushed the job, but they were so upset, and I was like, yeah, there you go. There's one of the biggest impacts you could think. And for my buddy was just like, you could think he was like a pale as it goes, like, oh my God, how do I fix this? And it was like, there you go, right out the door. Great project though, but there's professionalism.
There's no fixing that one.
Be mindful.
As I was saying, all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for we really appreciate each and every one of you listening. If you want to see what it might be like to work with us, we'll have some links down below the video. If you found anything interesting or have any questions for us, feel free to leave some questions for us in the comment section below. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next.